Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 6, and recently I decided to max out all the perks first because in general runs, I find a lot of people just end up having all the perks, and you're really only using like one ammo mod or one field upgrade. But I know this has the ammo upgrades. Fuck it, we'll rank those as well, I guess. But this is gonna be ranking all the equipment upgrades in Black Ops 6. Doing this mainly for fun, but I'm gonna show the list of perks that I use and basically the builds I go for when using those perks. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Black Ops 6. I've been enjoying the game. I love the zombies. Absolutely fucking phenomenal. I've been craving a round-based zombies game like this for a long time. Very happy Treyarch did it, I grew up in the Black Ops 2 era, so I'm very happy with how the game's turned out. However, there are some problems, and there are some equipments that aren't really that good right now. And some that are clearly better than others, And I do think they had a lot more hits than they did misses. But there are a few misses here, and I guess we'll get into the tier list ranking now. Starting with the perks. Let's do reverse order. Juggernog, I'm gonna give it a... This might be controversial. I think Juggernog... I'll give it a B tier. The reason why I'm giving it a B tier, it's good, right? It's really good. With the augments, taking reduced damage from the back. I know it's a little bugged right now and you're getting one shot from the amalgamation. I get that. But outside of that, it's good, but it's like Juggernog right now is just never really my first choice, And that's strange to say in today's era of zombies. I like Juggernog, right? It gives you that extra bonus health. I personally like running the 300 health. I appreciate the 300 health. But my problem with Juggernog is that that's kind of all it's really used for, I know it gives a few other things like bonus damage mitigation with your armor and stuff like that. Few other things. I think the way you kind of make Juggernog better, if they were to add more augment upgrades, personally, I really want to see more armor plates being held, right? I think that would make Juggernog A or even S tier. If they doubled it and they, there's an augment that replaces maybe the damage mitigation on your armor, and that gave you an extra 3 armor so you could hold 6, I'd argue that might be S tier. But I think that's how you would fix it, in my opinion. I'm going to kind of go through a lot of ways you can fix it while I'm ranking them if they're not S tier. Because I do believe we can be in a world where just everything's S tier, except for maybe like one item, but that is what it is. Juggernog, though, is really good, but it kind of just is like, oh yeah, I need to get Juggernog. It's not like I need to get Juggernog, like, right now, It's good to have all around, but it's not really it, you know what I mean? Like, it's not great, I think it just needs, like, more armor plating, or it needs, honestly, like, maybe a health buff to allies or something. Like, get a little wacky with some of these upgrades here, because Juggernog is very plain right now. It's number go higher or percent number go higher, and that's pretty much all Juggernog is. And I think if they did some wacky stuff like, increase everyone's health by 50 instead of just your own, I think it's like, okay, well then there's reason for you to like run it with a bunch of people, you could be an absolute fucking beast, get really wacky with it. I think it could be fun, but I'm just gonna rank it B tier. I don't think it's that good. I do think it's obviously the most iconic. Moving on, we got Stamina Up. Love Stamina Up. Honestly, this is probably like top 2 or 3 perks all time for me, and I'm gonna give Stamina Up. I'm gonna give it A tier. It's really good. It's annoying when you are always using Stamina Up and then you lose it and you're just like, wow, I feel like I'm at fucking 0.5 speed right now. It's very slow. I really like Stamina Up. There's not really much bad about Stamina Up. Obviously, it gives you the movement speed. That's very good. I'm trying to think of what the augment upgrades do. I can't even remember off the top of my head. I think it's just speed. I don't think it's weapon swap speed because I think that's speed cola. I think it's just a go-to for me. Like, I just run it and it gives me big speed, and I like big speed pretty much. I don't think there's really too much you can do with stamina up to really improve it. I just want to see like more wacky things, you know? I want to see like while sprinting. Oh, it's like damage mitigation while sprinting, right? That stuff. I want to see like more like while sprinting stuff. Like maybe while sprinting leaves a trail of fire every 20 seconds or something, and that's like the Molotov burn on the ground, you know? Or sprinting for 30 seconds gives you an overloaded shot in the magazine that shoots a napalm burst round or something. Like, get wacky with it, you know? The only reason why I'm putting it higher than Juggernog is because I genuinely go for Stamina Up over Juggernog. And I think Stamina Up just in general, at least as far as Black Ops 6's systems are, I think Stamina Up's just nicer because there's big maps. And, like, having extra health is nice, but being able to not take damage, I think, is even better. And Stamina Up allows you to do that, allows you to get out of those close quarter situations. You know, I think the only way to really get it to S if they did more wacky upgrades, like sprinting for a certain amount of time, you know, does something a little crazy, or maybe trying to think of like other ones, you know, that would be kind of fun to do. It's kind of it, you know. Like the no fall damage, I guess, is kind of nice, but like fall damage is fall damage. Like, you're not really taking a lot of fall damage, you know. Maybe increased hack sprint duration or something, you know. I know that's not wacky, but that would at least help it. Or make your sprint permanently tack sprint. That would be kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, I think Stamina Up's pretty good. I definitely put it in A. I think it's one of my favorite perks of all time in zombies in general. I just think it's just nice having, you know. It's just one of those things where it's just like when you don't have it, it's like, oh fuck, I need to get it, otherwise I'm gonna be a slug the whole game, you know. Moving on, Speed Cola. Speed Cola is probably, honestly, I'm gonna give it S tier. I'm gonna give Speed Cola S tier. I think it's almost a perfect perk. I think it does a lot of things well, and I don't think it does a lot of things wrong. Or I don't think it does really anything wrong. You know? You got the increased reload speed, you got the increased swap speed, which is very nice when you're in, like, tight situations and you're, like, leveling weapons, which is generally what you're gonna be using, like, zombies for. You're either high round attempting or you're grinding camos. That's, like, pretty much the only thing you're doing. Maybe speed runs, but, like, I'd argue that's, like, the smaller amount of people doing that. But regardless, Speed Cola is a necessity with anything you run Extended Mag with, and the reason why you want to run Extended Mag in Black Ops 6 is because almost, like, the rule of thumb is pretty much Extended Mag will double the magazine, or when you pack a punch, sorry, it doubles the magazine, so you want Extended Mag so that it doubles the magazine. There's a few exceptions. Yeah, the AK is an exception. It has a 60 round magazine. When you pack a punch it only gives you 90 in the mag. I think it caps out. I think there's some weird stuff with that, but in general, the rule of thumb is Extended Mag pretty much will double the magazine. LMG's crazy amount of magazines. And that's where Speed Cola really shines. Pretty much every primary in the game has not the greatest reload speed in this game, and Speed Cola just makes it feel like crack, honestly. It's one of the best feelings in the game when you reload like an LMG within a second. There's definitely some cases where you're taking speed, or not taking Speed Cola and you're taking something else. But in general, unless you're running the knife, Speed Cola's like S tier. And when you're running the knife, I'd still argue it's A tier. And the reason why is because Speed Cola has a passive it doesn't tell you, and it increases your armor plating by, I believe, 200%, approaching 300%. It's a crazy amount, especially if you've only been rocking one plate most of the game, which you are probably for a long period of time, because you're most likely getting Pack-a-Punch, then you're upgrading weapons, and then you're getting armor. But, yeah, Speed Cola, really, really good. Definitely think it's S tier. And I definitely think it's like a necessity almost every run. Like if you're camo grinding, there's no reason for you not to get Speed Cola. And that's why it's an S tier. Like there's there's not a world where Speed Cola is bad. You know, it does everything you want. Even when you're running weapons that you don't need Speed Cola for, that maybe have either fast mag or a melee weapon, which there's only 2, so it's not really, you know, the greatest. It doesn't do anything with the jet gun, I guess, is a downside. But outside of using the jet gun, Speed Cola is good in every single situation. And even when using the jet gun, you get the armor replating speed. It's just good all around. There's nothing bad about Speed Cola, and that's why I'm putting it in the S tier. Moving on, Deadshot Daiquiri. I haven't used, this is like my least used perk outside of another one, which is probably obvious, but I'm gonna put it in B. Is it better than Jug? I don't think it's better than Jug. Ooh, is it better than Jug? I think it... No, it's not better than Jug. You're definitely getting Jug over Deadshot Daiquiri, in my opinion. Deadshot Daiquiri is just a nice bonus. You get increased damage to enemies, pretty much. It's precision hits. I think it's like a 10% increase or whatever it is. But you also get like increased damage to, I think, armored enemies. That's another one of its things. Little stuff like that. You also get the chance to get a bullet back in your magazine once you have it maxed out, which is kind of nice. Actually, with that, I think I will put it above Jug. The extra bullet's nice. No, I'm gonna leave it behind. The extra bullet's nice, but it doesn't like... It's not so significant, and the odds aren't like 1,000,000%. It's not a guarantee, I believe. It could be, and maybe I'm just misremembering. But I've never been like, oh, thank God I have Deadshot Daiquiri, you know? It's kind of like I'm looking at my perk list, and I'm like, damn, what am I missing right now? Oh, right, Deadshot, right? Deadshot Daiquiri, it's definitely not a bad perk by any means. Just like Jug, they're not bad perks. But the way I think you make Deadshot better is kind of make it... I think if you made it synergize a little better with some other things, maybe landing or getting a headshot kill, like where the zombie's head is off, shoots like shrapnel in the back, and that still counts towards camos, and then it would all like kind of chain react, you know? I think great inspirations for this perk would be literally anything from Killing Floor 2's Gunslinger tree, I think, is what it is. There's a lot of things in Killing Floor that, like, this game's giving heavy Killing Floor 2 vibes, with a lot of the perks and the way everything works, but I do think Deadshot Daiquiri is a good perk. It needs an umph, you know? The nice bullet, the extra bullet from headshots is nice, and the damage is nice, but like 10% is like not much, you know? In the grand scheme of things. And it's not really... Like, unless you're running out of points constantly because you're buying so much ammo, you're not really buying Deadshot Daiquiri, in my opinion. You know? You're kind of just buying Deadshot Daiquiri whenever there's nothing left to buy, and it's like, okay, now I get Deadshot Daiquiri. There might be other use cases, like perhaps for snipers, because I haven't grinded the snipers, but as far as my experience goes, I think Deadshot Daiquiri is good. I think it's a good perk. I just think it needs an umph. It needs like a, you know, chaining a headshot kill after getting a headshot, or like a cooldown of 30 seconds or something like that. You know, we need something crazy for it. We need something... I would just want to see more wacky stuff, because there's not really a reason to get Deadshot over any of these perks here. You know, Jug, extra health is always good. Stamina, very good to have just to be able to sprint, get out of tight situations. Speed Cola, obviously. But Deadshot is like 10% damage increase. Maybe they increased it, maybe the number's a little different, but from everything I've seen, it's a 10% increase. Not that much. You know, moving on. Quick Revive. Now, this might be controversial. I think Quick Revive is... Ooh. It is good. It is really good. But... I'm gonna put it in B tier. Ooh, no. No, I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think it's better than Stamina Up. I think it's better than Stam. The reason why I'm putting it in A tier and not S tier is because Quick Revive is really good and it's active a lot of the time, but there are a lot of things in this game that heal you, like stims, and I know it's like not everyone's spamming stims, and Quick Revive is nice. If you don't know, Quick Revive increases your health regen And it also, you know, when maxed out, you get Dying Wish. It gives you an extra life whenever you get down to 1 HP, consumes the perk. It does that, I think, 4 times in one match. It was bugged. I think they fixed the bug. And now it doesn't work infinitely, so it only works a certain amount of time. Now, Quick Revive is good, and it does give that increased Quick Revive during a match. But my issue with Quick Revive is it doesn't do much. Like, let's say, once you get a hold of the game, it's good, right? Or it's good for when you don't have a hold of the game. And it's like you're making mistakes, you're getting cornered a lot, and then Dying Wish procs, and then you're like, oh, thank fuck I have Quick Revive. You know? But once you start getting, like, a handle on spots and, like, where to train and how to train, and, you know, you start taking out Manglers and Abominations and shit like that, like, more frequently, and you, like, kind of learn a bit more of the game. And I know that's not saying much because the game's been out for, like, what, almost 2 weeks? A little under 2 weeks at this point. The thing with Quick Revive is it's there, and it's always there, and it's always doing something good, kind of like a stamina up. But it doesn't do anything that's like... It is good in every scenario, but like the main thing you're using Quick Revive for is Dying Wish. But there is already like a self-revive kit. So there's a lot of things that just don't make Quick Revive that valuable when you look at it on a broad spectrum, in my opinion. You know? It is good. It's a really, really good perk to have, and it's always active on you. But, like, there are things that heal you, like a healing aura, like a stim, you know, stuff like that, you know, and if you're running a certain perk, you get HP whenever you get kills, stuff like that. But on top of that, you have armor mitigating the damage, and you're most likely, like, unless you're in the high rounds, you're not really struggling with health regen. You know, that's where Quick Revive really shines, but until you get to high rounds, you don't really need Quick Revive. Like, Quick Revive is a nice safety net, but you're not really needing it that much, you know? Like, I think in speedruns, I don't think it's used that much. If it is, it's probably used just to exploit the Dying Wish part of it. Where, like, to be S tier, I think you have to be good all the time, consistently, and there's not much you can improve from. With Quick Revive, you get a lot of value in multiplayer with it, especially because of the Dying Wish and, you know, the quick reviving. But there's just so many things that I think are, like, it's slightly worse versions of Quick Revive. Quick Revive is still on top, and again, by no means is it a bad perk. But I just think there's something missing where it's like, I need Quick Revive, you know? I'm pretty much getting Quick Revive for a safety net, and then it's in the back of my head for a safety net, you know? I kind of want Quick Revive to be like... I don't even really know what else you can do to Quick Revive and make it better, to be honest. I'm trying to think here. I guess I'll give it S. I'll give it S, because it is kind of good all the time. There's not really much bad about it. Yeah, the more I think about it, I'll give it S. I think Speed Cola is better, though. My personal opinion. Speed Cola is the GOAT, just saying. Moving on, we have Elemental Pop. Elemental Pop. Wait, what the fuck? Why is this B+, B-? Actually, we'll do C, and then we'll do B. That was weird. Anyways. Is it there? There we go. Alright, Elemental Pop. I like Elemental Pop, and the reason why I like Elemental Pop is you can run it basically 2 ways. And the 2 ways are, you run it like Electric Cherry, or you run it like, constantly using something like Napalm Burst or the Brain Rot or whatever, for whatever ammo mod you're doing. But the thing with Elemental Pop is that for camo grinding, it's not that great, you know? I think we all know that. The random effects kind of fuck with your training and everything like that. On top of that, there are times where it's like Elemental Pop just isn't that valuable. Elemental Pop is kind of like Deadshot, and then it's kind of the last thing you're getting. But the Electric Cherry is nice. Electric Cherry is also one of my favorite perks. Electric Cherry can save you from dire situations, you know? And I know some people might complain it's a little rare that it saves you, but I think it saves you a lot more than you think once you start using it a bit, because in this game you just get hoarded, And I think Elemental Pop, would I rather have it than Jug? That's the question. I think I would not. Yeah, I'd rather have it than Deadshot. I wouldn't rather have it than Jug. I mean, would I though? No, probably not. Yeah. Electric Cherry is very nice on Elemental Pop, and it really does save you from situations. I think the main problem is just the random effects are kind of annoying, specifically Brain Rot, because that can lead to some weird situations. It just kind of like fucks up the flow. It's not bad, but it just like kind of messes with the flow. I do like how you can focus it. I just don't like how that takes out Electric Cherry. I love Electric Cherry. You know, so I think the only way to really fix this, I would bring it to A tier if you could run Elemental Cherry and have one elemental element on it. The other thing it does is I think it gives you like bonus cooldown rate on some of your field upgrades here. Don't really care. You're not really using field upgrades unless it's for like a Sam challenge. Yeah, I give it a B, you know, and it's kind of hard because Elemental Pop is just kind of random, you know, and I think the way you would probably fix it, I think the way you would fix Elemental Pop and make it S tier is instead of making it random, I would make it have an interval. So leave it having the random effect, but just let you choose what elemental mods it could be, you know? I think that's the way to do it. Maybe in the upgrades, it would say Elemental Pop only uses, you know, Dead Wire, Napalm, and Void. I would love that. Or sometimes uses, like, Brain Rot and Cryo or something. Just make, like, different combos, or just let us choose when we're, like, editing the augment, something like that. Outside of that, I think you could probably make it so that the elements do special things. So like description would be add special upgrade to elemental mods. Maybe for Cryo's freeze it spawns like a blizzard, like from the ice staff. For Brain Rot it summons like a fucking Margwa or whatever, right? Or not a Margwa, an Abomination or an Amalgamation or something that fights for you. Or maybe it spawns like a Hellhound, and then the Hellhound is with you for, let's say, 5 rounds or something, you know? Dead Wire, you can make it so it just electrifies, or it leaves like an electric field on the ground, and it just permanently stuns enemies. Napalm Burst, you can have it so that it does actually what it does and just chain explodes. Napalm Burst is fine. The Void one, you can make it so it summons a black hole, like the fucking Gersh device or whatever that little ball is that you throw as a tactical and it like summons a black hole. Make it do stuff like that, and I think you have an S tier perk. But I'd give it B tier, personally. Moving on, we have PhD Flopper. Now, PhD Flopper, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be so real. I think it's an S tier perk. I don't think there's anything you can do to like make PhD Flopper bad. Now, the reason why it's S tier perk, in my opinion, is personally because of the way I run it. The way I run it, as shown in the intro, I personally love PhD because while running PhD, I use the knockdown effect. So while you're running around and like you're getting in these tight situations where zombies are constantly flooding in, especially in like, you know, Liberty Lanes or on a small map like Terminus or small areas during Terminus, you know, you can have PhD Flopper and you can kind of just safely run like tack sprint through enemies and it'll knock them down and you can just get out. You know, if you get cornered, tack sprint out, you know? It's very nice, it's very solid to have. If you don't prefer that, you can even run the sliding one, that sliding into enemies damages them. That's also fine as well. I don't like that personally. You're realistically not using PhD Flopper for the flop in terms of the Dolphin Dive. You're probably using it because you have an explosive and it negates all self explosions. That'd be great. The other thing I run it for is the slide increase. The slide speed increase is absolutely insane. If you haven't used PhD Flopper with stamina up, maxed out with the stamina up speed, and then the PhD Flopper slide, that shit is so good. It hits like crack every time you fucking slide. Absolutely amazing. But The only thing that I would make PhD Flopper better with is probably make you immune to any sort of elemental damage. I know that would kind of fuck up Terminus because of the Stink Cloud, but I think you'd be like a cheeky way to like ignore the tentacle monster in a way. And I think it kind of would be fine to do. Also, if they plan on adding future, like, things that leave AoE on the ground, like, a good example, I think PhD Flopper should negate the Mangler's cannon shot, you know? I think when it shoots at you, you just aren't affected. Maybe you can still take knockback or whatever. That's kind of the only thing I would give PhD Flopper personally. Outside of that, I think it's just perfect. Like, there's nothing it does wrong. You know, you have speed. You have, with any explosives, you're not taking damage, you're not taking splash damage from the ray gun. There's nothing bad about PhD Flopper. This game, I definitely think it's S tier. Now, before, in previous games, and if you don't have this maxed out, I actually think it's kind of shit, and I would give it, like, a C tier. But I do think it's just really fucking good. Like, really, really good. You know? I just don't think there's anything really bad about it once you have it maxed out. Definitely worth upgrading. Absolutely a fantastic perk. Even when you don't have explosive or splash damage weapons. And a lot of people like using Sally and Fourth in the game. This is the perk for you, pretty much. Now, moving on. Damn, this is a long one. Moving on, we got Melee Macchiata. Or Macchiato, whatever. I don't think this is a secret. It's D tier. It's dog shit. Now, what I will say, in the context of melee weapons, Chef's Kiss, the best thing you can get in the game for a melee weapon, outside of Pack-a-Punch. But the problem with Melee Macchiata is that it doesn't do anything but help your melee weapon. You're getting health on kills. You're getting increased melee speed. You're getting higher one-shots on your melees. But, like, we need something outside of just melee, right? I don't know it's called Melee Macchiata, but, like, listen, man. You have all these perks that do something outside of what they're specified for, you know? Aside from maybe Stamina Up, but Stamina Up you can use with everything. Speed Cola you can use with everything. Quick Revive you can use at all times. PhD Flopper you can use at all times. Like, they all have benefits constantly. Juggernog you have HP all the time. Elemental Pop you at least get bonus to damage. Electric Cherry is kind of nice. Deadshot Daiquiri is just a flat damage increase. Melee Macchiata does nothing unless you're using a melee weapon. Now, the way I think you would make this better is make the Thunder Punch that it has like a legit Thunder Punch. Like in the older games where you could melee and it would shoot out, I think it's Origins, where it would shoot out a fucking wave and it would act like the Thunder Gun, you know? Where it just shoots like a wave and it kills everything in your way. Give it like a 30-second cooldown every gun bash. I think that's the way you fix it, you know? And I think that would make it arguably, maybe not S tier, but probably like close to A to S tier. You know, make the gun bash really, really good. Like a ranged melee attack, you know? Or make it so that it does legit one-shot any zombie in the game outside of a boss fight, you know? So it one-shots an Amalgamation, or it one-shots a Mangler. Like stuff like that where it actually makes Melee Macchiato worth using. To just be like, oh fuck, an Amalgamation just spawned, it needs to die now. Punch it, dead. Move on. You know? Outside of that, you could also, like, give it some nice things where, like, zombies do half damage to you if they're punching you, you know? Or you could do the opposite, and you can make it so that zombies that aren't punching you don't do damage to you. So that would make the grab not do damage to you from the Amalgamation, just as an idea. It would make the Manglers not be able to damage you from range, and they'd have to run up and punch you. Stuff like that, where it would make Melee Macchiata be usable all the time. That's how I would fix it. But yeah, these are the perks. But moving on, we have Elemental Mods. Now, I'm going to bang these out because I think these are very cookie cutter right here. So, Cryo Freeze, I'm going to give it C tier. I think it's probably the worst out of them all. But it is a damage increase to the Vermin, and it helps with Vermin rounds. So that's kind of nice. Freezing is kind of okay. It's not crazy. Brain Rot is better, but also still C tier. Mainly because Brain Rot, It summons the zombie, and the zombie does kill things, and it does kill things at a normal rate, and it gives you the same amount of points if you killed it yourself, so I think it's fine. It's not like you're losing points. The main thing, though, is that it doesn't really... It just fucks up the flow, and it just kind of doesn't feel great to use. I think there's better ways to find a way... Like, the way to fix Crowd Freeze, Blizzard, like I said. The way to fix Brain Rot, make it summon a zombie, and that zombie lasts multiple rounds, you know? And scale infinitely so that you'd be able to do high round strategies with just like the Brain Rot. Moving on, Deadwire. Deadwire's pretty good. I think it's good, but I don't think it's fantastic. So I put it in B. It's definitely good for like those small crowd control moments, but it doesn't have enough range or anything to really make it that crazy, you know? I also don't have all these maxed out, so this is kind of just like an unupgraded version, I guess. Napalm Burst I have maxed out. This is by far S tier. If you haven't used Napalm Burst maxed out with the chain reaction and the, you know, like fire damage spreads onto other zombies or has a chance to spread onto other zombies. Zombies that explode after, you know, they die with napalm on them just causes a crazy chain reaction. Has carried me in the higher rounds. And I'm, you know, maybe 30s or 40s, right? But yeah, very good. The Void one, I'm also going to give A tier. It's kind of confusing at first, but it's pretty good because it will move Manglers. I don't know, I can't remember if it moves Abominations, but it does get rid of Manglers, and I think that's the main thing, you know? This will one-shot Manglers for a while, so I think it's just a nice thing to get. That will just one-shot Manglers. I think the way you improve it, similar thing, make it like a Gersh device, pretty much. That'd be an interesting proc. Just make it proc really rare, I think is the way to do that. Moving on, Energy Mine. Energy Mine is A tier. A lot of people shit on Energy Mine, but I think Energy Mine's actually really, really good. I have yet to go to a round where Energy Mine does not kill a horde. Energy Mine does fairly decent on Manglers. It doesn't kill them, but it does fairly well. But Energy Mine's really good. I don't know why people don't like it. Like, it's just good, you know? I think a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't help the camo grind. But honestly, for like high rounds, like this isn't bad, you know? Like this is pretty good. If you're in a tight spot, especially if you don't have stuff like Dying Wish backing you up or a lot of the upgraded stuff, Energy Mine probably is like a B tier when you have all that done, but I'd say A tier overall because you're most likely, as a player, not maxing out every perk or every item in the game. Now, I do think Energy Mine is like just situational. But it's a good situational. It's a good fallback. Moving on, Frenzy Mine. I think it's called Frenzy Mine or Frenzy Field, whatever it's called. I think it's slightly better than Energy Mine because it does just give you free armor. But I find the armor power-up does drop quite frequently, so you don't really need it. This is absolute ass. Dark Flare. I've gotten all the kills required for the gold badge. It's shit. This thing is absolutely horrible. It does terrible damage. It does kill zombies, but nowhere near the amount of Energy Mine. It's barely worth... It takes a long time to charge too. It's barely worth the slot. Like it's really just there just in case you run out of ammo and you didn't upgrade your knife, pretty much. You know, Healing Aura is pretty good. I've been in a few situations where I've been happy to have a friend with Healing Aura. I'd say it's B tier. It's not like terrible. It's good for healing. It's good for when you get in tight spots. Again, more beneficial if you don't have any of the perks, really, or any of the augments maxed out. Overall, not bad. I think you can revive an ally as well across the map, so you don't need to use a Gobblegum. Effectively, it's just free ways of helping the team. And I don't think that's bad. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad. Moving on, Aether Shroud. Aether Shroud is probably the only S tier one, just because it's zombie blood, but you can teleport with it. There's not really much else to say. It's just fucking really good, you know? Melee weapons, this is definitely going to help you guys, because if you go in Aether Shroud, it's just free kills all day. Doesn't take long to charge. Especially when you get to higher rounds, you kind of charge it in the round every time. You can have 2 charges of it as well. I believe it's also the high round strategy. I'm seeing a lot of people try to attempt 999 right now because of the new update. And I see a lot of people running Ether Shroud. I think Ether Shroud's just the GOAT field upgrade. I'm leveling it now, but yeah, these are all the augment, I guess, the augmented items in the game. This is my tier list, this is my ranking. Could this change? Probably, but right now, kind of first impressions, you know, within the first month of playing the game, this is where I think it ranks. You know, I think as far as D tier goes, avoid them. You don't need them. Don't upgrade them. The last thing you want to do. They're shit. They're terrible. Don't even bother with them. C tier is okay, but kind of don't, like, everything's just better than C tier. B tier, everything's good. Nothing's really terrible. They're solid to run. You're not really doing anything wrong by running them. A tier is really good. Everything is just, it's nice having that passive there, or that, like, refresh there, that safety net there. S tier is very little wrong. I can't see much else you can improve with. So, that's my rankings. That's how I would rank this as a casual zombies player. But, yeah, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. As always, I hope you have a good day.